Hi, Tim Sales here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about side hustles that led me to earn millions. All right, and so if you're new on Network Marketing Power, I do videos having to do with the network marketing industry. In this particular video, I'm leading into what is network marketing because a lot of people communicate it in a lot of different ways, and it is the simplest thing in the world to me. And I want to show you some of my side hustles that I've done over the last, 40 something years, 49 years or something like that. Because it's led me to really understand and value network marketing. And so I hope you enjoy this. So here it is. This is the whole track. And it started up here when I was about 13 years old. I started mowing yards, and I had about 300 houses in my area that I could walk to. And it covered about 7 miles. And through that, out of those 300 houses, I got about 30 of them to allow me to mow their yard. And that pretty much paid for the tennis shoes I wanted to wear. When I got a wrestling Letterman jacket, they gave me the letter, but not the jacket. And so I needed to buy that jacket and things like that. And I'm forever indebted to my mom and dad, because what they told me is that we'll give you what you need, but what you want, you're going to have to earn. And so so that kind of prompted me and pushed me out the door to go out there and start hustling at a young age. And then I ended up working at a gas station, but the lesson that I learned there was that was the owner's dream, not mine. You cannot wash off the smell of gasoline for some reason. And then I went in the U.S. Navy when I was about 17 years old, right out of high school. And there were a lot of things that I learned in there. And number one was I hated waiting on a pay raise. We had 2 years that we had to do time in grade, is what it was called, before we were up for an advancement. And most of the time, somebody had to move up or out of the Navy in order for one of us to advance. And so I hated that. I wanted to be able to earn money when I wanted to earn money. And no matter how hard I worked, it wouldn't close me in faster. And if somebody was in the spot, I couldn't get the pay rate, the increase, right? Because somebody had to move out or move up. Okay, and so then I remember taking a college course, as a personal finance course, and what I learned in that course, and it was not part of the curriculum, the guy was just kind of walking along inside the classroom. It was on a ship. And he just kind of looked over his shoulder. He goes, but if you want to make a lot of money, you have to either own it or sell it. Okay. And so own it or sell it became like a church bell that rang in my ear, and I will never forget it to this day. Now, I did not see myself as ever being able to own something. I went back in my head to this, where even though 300 houses were there, I only needed to get 30 in order to serve them every single year, as a matter of fact. And so I had that little bit of experience, and it was not much of a sales thing. I would literally knock on the door, and I would say, you wouldn't want me to mow your yard, would you? Now, if you think that is a sales job, it's not. All right, it's about the worst way you could ever to get that. So the other thing that I learned is that everyone needs money. I would see guys that would spend their money on cameras. I'd see guys that would spend their money on going out drinking all night long. I saw them spend their money on motorcycles and things like that. And I remember thinking, the one thing everybody needs is money, right? And it was whatever they wanted to buy. And so, so I learned that lesson in there, because I used to loan people money, and I would see what they would buy with it, and I would be like, that's interesting that everybody wants something different, but everybody needs money. The next one is that I got shore duty, which means I wasn't on a ship anymore. And this one right here was, I took a college course. It was an entrepreneurial college course. And what they wanted you to do was to go out and build a business plan. And so I wanted to start a lawn business again, right? But when I crunched all the numbers, it ended up that the lawnmowers would depreciate at about the same time I broke profit. And so it would never become profitable. And if it hadn't have been for that experience, then I wouldn't probably have valued network marketing the way that I did, because of the very low startup cost and running cost. And so that's that one. And I had gotten, in shore duty, I wanted to be a real estate investor, and I bought one of those No Money Down courses by Ed Beckley. And what his idea was is that you just basically go out there and put out bids for 20% less than market value, right? And so I put out about 20 of them. And then one day, a guy named Sonny Higgins, he was my real estate agent, I'll never forget him. He called me and he said, "Hey, Tim, one caught, we're on." And so I ended up buying that piece of property. And that was about when I realized that to do real estate investing on some $35,000 a year salary, once I got my one property, I was leveraged as much as I could be in my income bracket. So when you think that through just a little bit about real estate investing, so it was, I think the house was around $90,000, best I can remember. And on a $35,000 salary. Okay, so I was leveraged, and I had a lot of risk there. And a lot of people don't view that as risk. And you say, "Oh, well, it'll appreciate." I think when I was renting it out, I was making around $109 or something like that a month. And so I said, that money is awesome. It was a lot of risk, and it was a lot of effort to put out the bids and do all of that. But it was sweet. Okay, so residual income, that was the first time I'd ever had it, and it was really sweet, but that was a lot of work to do it. And then one day, I got a call, I think it was around 11 o'clock at night or something like that, where it says, "Are you the owner of 231 Gardner Avenue?" I said, "I am." And he said, "This is the U.S. Marshal, and we had to bust into it. It's the largest crack house in Southern Maryland." And I was like, "Oh, I guess that explains why they paid in cash." So that was the history of rental property for me at that time, because I just didn't have enough capital to really continue that process, be able to hire somebody to manage it, all of that, because I just didn't have enough yet, and I didn't see a way to get there. And I know people say, "Oh, it's all about owner financing, and you go out and you get creative and blah, blah, blah." Well, every one of those people that I tried to do that way, they were like, "Well, why wouldn't I just rent it out?" So I guess in the right time you could. But Ed Beckley, the guy I bought the course from, seemed to act like it was just so easy to just put out bids for 20% less than market value. I just ran out of money and ability to get money loaned. I then answered a newspaper ad for a consumer product. Didn't know what it really was at the time. That was a network marketing company. In 5 years, I built a $25 million business in sales, and then I retired. I got up to a 7-figure income. And so once I retired from that, and I hadn't earned less than 6 to 7-figure incomes all the way to present time. Okay, so that obviously was a really, really good deal, if you will, because I think I paid about $350 to join that company, and then it paid me for 18 years when I was retired. All right, like that's an amazing situation there for what it was, for as little capital as I had to go into it with. All right, so while I was still receiving that money, I created a product called Brilliant Compensation. And I needed and it was a DVD to begin with, then it was a CD, then it went online. But I needed to hire employees in order to, to take the orders and, do that kind of stuff. The internet was running, but it wasn't, people didn't trust putting any credit card in the system or anything like that at that time. And so I had to have employees. And I remember just thinking, I don't want employees because, employees, they're real people, you know what I mean? Like, and they have needs and wants. They want to, have a dental appointment when the office is open, right? the dental office is open. And so they have to take time off. They need to get their car repaired and things like that. Okay, well, who's manning the shop when they are getting their teeth done? And so I would end up having to step in during those times. And so it was like, man, that's tough, because over here where I built, I had a lot of reps building their own business, and they didn't care what Tim was doing anymore. And then I got into stock trading, and I did make millions. But my biggest lesson was, all right, I spent $1 million to learn to earn $1 million. Literally, that's what it was. Quick to earn, quicker to lose. In other words, I would see the stocks advance, and I was like, wow, I made $10,000 today. That's amazing, right? And then it'd be like, oh, I lost $40,000 today. And so it was like, wow, that's very fast. And I still trade stocks today. It's a good game, fun game kind of a thing. But in terms of relying on it, depending on it as an income source, I would consider it to be challenging. I then, people started, because of that video that I wrote, Brilliant Compensation, people started reaching out to me and saying, hey, we'd love for you to consult our company. Hey, could you come and speak about network marketing? Hey, could you come teach at the University of Illinois at Chicago? Hey, could you? And so I ended up charging for my advice to people. But what I figured out there is that I'm basically a hired slave and nobody's happy. And what I mean by that is, when you are a consultant, you can, help them arrange something or put a sequence in or get an idea going, but you can't really get in the way I like to get in elbows to elbows, write the entire marketing campaign from the advertisement to what is said on the telephone or on the website or whatever it is, and walk all the way through the whole process, and then be able to see, all right, what's our conversion from the answering the ad to watching the presentation? What's that conversion rate? And then how would upsells work in this scenario? What's the best product? Because I wasn't that deep in it. All right. So what I found is that I couldn't do, in other words, if they wanted me to do something like that, then I would have to get a percentage of sales. Because why in the world would I go through all of that process, which is the most difficult thing in any marketing department, is to figure all that stuff out, right? And so, no, they didn't want to give me a percentage of sales. So it was just a tough situation, and I found that I wasn't happy, and I didn't feel as though that I could contribute and do the thing that would change the growth of the company, that would knock it out of the park. So I finally said, you know what? I'm coming back into the industry. And so then it's now $300 million of sales in my organization, 57 millionaires, 5,401 who have earned $250,000. And this is the space. Okay, so when you go back and you look all the way around the track, I had quite a few side hustles, right? They didn't call it that then. It seems to be a vogue name now. Gig economy, things like that. Well, it was just, something to get by. And here's the thing. In this, even in the Navy, if it wasn't for special operations, I probably would not have turned out and been able to do this stuff, because they taught me that I could learn anything. And so when I look back at all of that side hustle, what I realize is that each one of these, I know people who do Uber driving, and they get off work, they then get in their Uber car, and they part-time, up until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And, and they make $5,000, let's say, but then they had to redo their engine. All right. My cameraman, that was him. And he just went, what? And so, it was a net zero. And it's difficult to look at it that way. Now, I will say that that is a business expense, and so he could write that off. But the real point that I'm trying to make is that when I was here, and this is the only reason I'm really sharing all this with you, when I was here, I was about making money by Friday. Okay, so I was just trying to make enough money to get the Converse All-Star tennis shoes. Or over here, it was enough to go to the movies. And over here, it was, just buying little things. And I never really put in view the long look, the long term, where this was something I could have accomplished what I was getting here, but it would have been the accumulation towards wealth. Okay, because I've made many, many, many millions of dollars from this and this. So just wanted to pass that on to you as I'm gearing up to kind of explain what network marketing is. I wanted to first put all of this into perspective so that you can help, it can help you view what network marketing is really about. Is very low entry, very low risk, the ability to make money when you want to make money. You can get an increase. So I was able to make, $100 or something like that in residual income here, but I had $90,000 or $80,000 of risk, where in here, I could make that $100 in 2 days in selling the products. And I was like, why in the world would I put $90,000 out there when I can do that? So just wanted to put all that into perspective. I'll be doing, different videos each time, just basically talking about what is network marketing. And so if you like this, let me know and tell me what you've learned in your side hustles. Okay, I think that would be a really good conversation to put into the comments because I love to come in and see what other people's experiences are. Appreciate you watching.